Haley was born in 2010, and then in 2014, I missed the cycle. And so that isn't uncommon. However, it seemed a little different this time. And so I ended up taking a test, and it reflected that I was pregnant.
Like the stars in the sky, like the sand on the beach, it goes beyond measure. There is no place.
Not long after that, and let me stop here. I had someone approach me, and they said, "Dyveonne, I dreamed that you were pregnant." And I was like, "What?" This was before I found out that I was, but it wasn't long after that time frame that I found out that I was. But it was very short-lived, and I recall waking up and not feeling the best. I had to call into work, and I ended up going to the restroom, and I had lots of blood clots. I got in the tub, and the tub was full of them. I didn't know what was going on at the time, and I was afraid that it may be a miscarriage. My mom was able to take me to the hospital, and when I got there, they were like, "We've taken your pregnancy test, and we don't show that you were pregnant." And I was just like, "Whoa, how's all of this happening like this? I just took this test not too long ago, and I'm sure that I am, and everything." And so that was a miscarriage. It's funny because, and I don't want to say funny, at that time at the church, there were many women that were pregnant. And I had struggled with it a little bit because when I saw all of them giving birth, I looked and I was like, man, that should be me as well. I did end up going and being seen by a doctor at that time, and they confirmed that I had tumors again on my ovaries. I had also begun to experience pain in my ovaries and in my stomach, and it was just unbearable at times. And I decided to go ahead and have a surgery for them to remove those cysts. When they removed the cyst, I was told that I needed to wait about 6 months before I got pregnant again.
Yeah, and I wanted another one at that point because I love my daughter. I love her. She's such a great little Haley. But like I said, growing up, and I always spoke Jeremiah. I got to have my boy. I got to have the little me running around here. So I'm like, Dyveonne, we should have another one. Why not go ahead and try again? But she acted like she didn't want one. I was trying to figure out.
Yeah. After.
But, looking back, retrospect.
Mm-hmm.
I'm young.
Retro.
I didn't really think about at that time all the stuff she had went through with hyperemesis with the first kid. I didn't really think about that. I'm thinking, I want my boy, but I'm also thinking, this time shouldn't be like that because, yeah, she experienced that with Haley, but that was just that pregnancy, and we should be able to have another one, no problem. So I didn't really think about it then. That's why she didn't, want one. And then not only that, she had a miscarriage and dealt with the cyst. So, but
yeah, they removed the cyst and everything, and they told me I needed to wait 6 months. We didn't even make that full 6 months. The surgery was in July, and I found out I was pregnant in December. And what was scary, which is so crazy to me, sure seems like every time I found out I was pregnant, it was me going for a different sickness. I had the flu, and I found out I was pregnant with Jeremiah before that, but I ended up having the flu right after that, and it was a lot. It was okay that I didn't quite make the 6 months or whatever, but here it is that we find out that we are pregnant with Jeremiah, And I end up experiencing many complications in my pregnancy with him. Hyperemesis returns, and it is worse this time. I'm hospitalized over and over again. I'm missing work a lot. And I had a new doctor at this time. I was able to get a little bit more information about it. And they ended up having to insert a PICC line into my arm because of all of the IV fluids that I was.
She don't got them good veins like me either.
No. So that was scary. And then they also ended up having me get a Zofran pump. So Zofran is a medication for those that experience nausea and vomiting. A pump is where I have to do injections. So I'm having to inject or insert like a catheter into my stomach and wear this pump on my shoulder, and it pumps Zofran into me where I'm able to even keep food down. With both of my pregnancies, I lost so much weight that by the time I delivered, with Haley, I actually gained no weight from my pregnancy. When I found I was pregnant with her, I was a certain weight. When I had my last appointment before I delivered her, I was at that same weight that I was at when I found out I was pregnant with her. With Jeremiah, it was crazy. I think I may have gained like 2 pounds, 2 or 3 pounds. That was it, because of how much weight I lost. So I just gained back what I lost and then just had like 3 pounds or whatever.
It was crazy. The amount of vomiting was...
Can't keep water down, anything. It was crazy.
And she actually, when she had a severe case of it, she had to go into the hospital. At this time, we have Haley, and she had to stay a few nights in the hospital. I didn't know what I was doing. And I think Haley was in school. She was getting ready to finish up. I don't remember what grade it is. Kindergarten?
Well, she was pre-K.
She was getting ready to finish up pre-K, and she was in the hospital. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with this girl head. So all I did was this. And put a rubber band on it. So you can just imagine how they look. Sent her on to school. And I can remember her having a graduation, and I was just like,
oh, it was a program.
A program, like a little graduation.
It wasn't a graduation though, it was just a program. It was just like I think it was like a Black History program or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Or Christmas program, something like that.
Mm-hmm. But whatever it was, I think my mom was there, and you got to help me with this head. I know she got a thing, presentation or something to do, but this is the best I can do.
When I looked at my baby picture, I was like, oh my gosh. It wasn't horrible, but I was like, oh, I would have had those edges slick. That puff would have had a little something on it to make those curls define. But I am grateful because he did hold it down. Jeremy still took her to daycare. He went to work, and then he would get off work and come see me at the hospital for a little bit. He would have to go and pick up Haley from whichever grandparents' house that she was at the time, get her home and fed, bathed, and then to bed, and then back up the next morning to do it. So I'm grateful. Yeah. He got it done. I
made it. All I know was about the waves. Okay. The women, I'm sorry. Just the girls.
When they released me from the hospital and we went and picked up Haley, my daughter's her. Whoopi didn't have nothing on Haley. She could have been dreadlock girl for sure. We got it done and we got it together, and things began to get a little bit better and everything. And we ended up having our doctor's appointment to find out what it was gonna be. And we actually had a name for if it was a girl. We had the name Savannah Cheyenne. But we got there and found out he finally moved those legs, and we was able to see all we needed.
That's my boy.
That's my boy.
Jeremiah.
Fluid is going to be black, so this is amniotic fluid around the
Ooh,
baby.
it looks blue on yours, but it doesn't look blue on me.
You can see the spine here. Now, fluid inside the baby will also be black, and that allows us to look at some structures. So, do you see this black area here? It's the baby's stomach. That tells me the baby is swallowing fluid, something it should be doing.
Okay.
And if you think about it, if the fluid makes it all the way down to the abdomen, then we know there isn't any kind of blockage in the throat.
Good.
And then down in the baby's pelvis, do you see this black dot?
Mm-hmm.
It's the baby's bladder.
Okay.
So if I see fluid in the baby's bladder, then I know the baby's kidneys are working.
Mm-hmm.
You start to see that spine, you see the
Then
little
look at
ribs.
the baby.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Look at the baby.
Now inside the baby's head, fluid will also be black. That allows us to look and measure the amount of fluid to make sure there's no evidence of hydrocephalus, and that looks good.
So we were super excited to find out it was a boy. And I remember going and buying him Nike outfits, and Jeremy couldn't wait to start buying Jordans and things like that. We were super excited. And at that point, I was like, you know what? Now that I know that it's my boy and I've had all these complications in my pregnancies, losing, a child and everything, I was like, you know what? I'm going to get my tubes tied. I can't go through this again. These sicknesses and how it impacted me mentally, physically, financially, and all of that. I was like, you know what? I think that it's probably best for me to go this route for the safety of our family and my health and things like that. So I talked with my doctor about it and everything. And it was crazy because I was considering a VBAC. I wanted a vaginal after C-section. But knowing that I wanted to go ahead and get my tubes tied, that was taken off the table because I needed it all done at one time. I didn't want to have to come back and have my tubes tied at a later time. I wanted them to just knock everything out. So we end up having, I want to say, it was one big baby shower for Jeremiah. Your job also gave you one then, right?
Mm-hmm.
My job did one. And so, again, we were grateful for all the support that we had at this time with the arrival of Jeremiah. He ended up, it was a scheduled C-section, and he had a due date, but we actually ended up having to move that due date up because the doctor was not going to be available after a certain date. And the due date fell on a Sunday, and she wasn't going to be available. So we picked the date. And we get to the hospital around, I think, 8 a.m., something like that. We drop off Haley at daycare. We made arrangements for her to be picked up and everything. We get to the hospital, and Jeremiah was born at
10:32 a.m.
Yeah, so big difference from Haley, us getting there like 9 something, and then her being born at 5, and then Jeremiah us getting there around 8 something, and then him being here at 10:32.
I ain't gonna lie, when I heard him cry and I heard that it was my boy, I almost cried a little.
He cried. I'm sure it's a tear and everything.
Get back up in there.
It was
It's enough to make a grown man cry, but not this man. Get back in there, tear.
such a different experience this time. Although it was a C-section again, I guess looking at all we had experienced trying to get this baby here, it was so much. Thinking about when we first found out about him, and remember the incident where
With Haley?
Yeah.
Haley somehow
ended up
kick you in the stomach, and she
by
started
accident.
bleeding like crazy, and we ended up having that was on Christmas or Christmas Eve, one of
It
them.
was something like that, yeah.
And we ended up having to hurry up and run to the hospital then because that kid caused her to start bleeding. We're like, oh my gosh, is this a miscarriage again? It was crazy.
Yeah. Finding out I had the flu not long after knowing that I was pregnant with him. So flu, then that experience. The doctors had told me that it was, they gave me some term. And when I looked into that, it wasn't looking good. But by that next week, they came back and gave me an update and was like, scratch that. That's not the case by any means.
Oh,
And so I was
is
grateful.
that where they were saying like
Ectopic pregnancy.
something like
Pregnancy, yes, that was it. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I had to go the whole weekend trying to figure this out and like praying that that's not the case. It just seemed like it wasn't, the devil is trying to not let me have my boy.
Hey everybody, real quick, we're on a mission to try and grow our channel to 1,000 subscribers, but we need your help to do so.
If you are enjoying this video, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell. We ask that you also give this video a big thumbs up. We appreciate your continued support. God bless.
God bless you.
But he was here and he was healthier than Haley. He came out bigger than she was.
How
and
big
everything.
was he?
7 pounds. 8 ounces. He was longer than she was and everything. I was so grateful. When I looked at him, I was in love. I mean, like, I had gotten to the point with all that I had dealt with in my pregnancy with him. I was just like, man, can I even enjoy this? I wasn't even excited after a while, but he came and we weren't scared to bring this baby home. We knew what to do, or felt like we knew what to do and everything. I did experience some breastfeeding complications and I thought that I was just going to pull out. But all things work together.
And I encouraged you to keep going, didn't I?
He did. He talked me into running on. Yes. And it was convenient at nighttime to breastfeed and things like that. Jeremy helped me out during his time off, but that lack of sleep showed me a different side of my husband.
Oh, Lord. Okay, so when she decided to tie her tubes because of the sicknesses or whatever, I kind of was feeling some kind of way. Because at that point, I was like, I think I wanted 3. So when she was like, I'm going to tie my tubes, I was like,
are you sure?
You sure you want to tie them? And it was back and forth, but I didn't. She went through all that with her body. I didn't. I think with Haley though, I had a little morning sickness. Remember?
Yeah, it was very little.
Okay, but I didn't experience all that she had. But at that time, I was like, I still want another one, and she went ahead and tied her tubes because she didn't want to deal with the sickness or whatever again. But there was a few things that made me okay with that.
Later,
but
yeah,
but I can remember this time, I decided to kind of take over a lot of the responsibility early on while I was on leave so that, she could heal up. And the lack of sleep. Like the second night, I wanted to cry myself because I was just so sleep deprived, and he was a very good baby. Like, he wasn't whining, but of course he's crying because he's hungry. Mm-hmm. And that was on the clock every 2 to 3 hours. And I was just like, soon as I fed him, put him back to sleep, and when you start getting that good sleep, you say how long you need to heal?
And see, again, he didn't have to experience it as much with Haley because I took the role on completely because I was a stay-at-home mom. So I was just like, you know what, let me just take Haley into this room while he sleeps, and things like that. So this was different for him. And he did come back to me later and was like, you know what, after experiencing this, I realized that it's best for us it's a good thing that you went ahead and tied your tubes. This enough. This
not only that, I mean, as he, grew older, just that whole process, because it had been almost 5 years since Haley. So we're back in the process of, not sleeping all the way. We have another kid that's not sleeping all the way through the night. We're back in the routine of all these bottles and cleaning bottles and all this stuff. And so I was like, okay, oh yeah, now I remember.
And again, I didn't express this, but Jeremiah was born in 2015. Okay.
Yeah, so just getting back in the routine of that. having to pay for daycare again.
Wanting to make sure Haley still felt loved and included in things because, like I said, I looked at him at Jeremiah and I was just in love. Like, he was such a sweet baby and things like that. But we wanted to make sure that Haley felt included. And so at that time, Jeremy even made sure that he took out time to take Haley on dates, like with him, where it was just them. I would still go because I just wanted to get out the house and things like that. But it was a lot of emotions and a lot of things going on, but the Lord allowed us to maneuver through it all and we overcame. And this time I wasn't a stay-at-home mom, so I had to find a routine because I had to get back to work at this point, and then we had to drop a kid off at daycare and all of that. But again, the Lord allowed us to maneuver and get it done. And so that's how we became the parents of Jeremiah. Jeremiah, whoa, what are you doing?
Playing the game.
Okay, well, now that you're here, why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourself?
Okay. My name is Jeremiah. I was born in 2015. I like everything Mario. I like soccer. I'm good at math. I love to eat ribs. I love that Dad plays game with me and Mom watches shows with me.
Well, it sounds pretty accurate when you say
Games all the time.
all the live long day. Okay, well, glad that you were able to join us. I'll let you get back to playing your game.
Okay. Okie dokie.
And so we were so grateful because here it is now. We have our boy, we have our girl. And oftentimes, even to this day, I think about the one in between. And while I didn't get the chance to get further along in the pregnancy and even see this child, I wonder what that kid would be like. But when I look at the two that are here, I'm grateful and I couldn't imagine, anything different. We see different characteristics of each one of us in them, and it's just enough or whatever, where we are satisfied and we are forever grateful that our love produced such two great human beings that look like Jeremy, have some of my personality and things like that.
Yeah. My little mini-me's. I can't argue with the Reese genes.
Yeah. He can't take me to Mari.
Yeah, I'm that baby. Both of them babies, pappies.
Yes. So we thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode of Becoming Parents. You have anything you want to say?
That's all I got. It was a crazy journey. When I look back, doing this time of reflection, I was able to look at some of the old videos and stuff like that. And it just took me back, and just crazy to look back on all of that now, and how everything, transpired. But I'm grateful to God for our journey. Grateful that He brought us out. Here we are 15 years later, still married, still raising our kids. Hopefully we're doing a good job. We're doing the best we can. But we just thought we would want to share that with you all in this episode of Couples Couch, episode 5, Becoming Parents. Got anything else you want to add?
That's it.
Well, I guess that's a wrap. We appreciate you all tuning in, and make sure you give it the big thumbs up. We would appreciate that. That helps the algorithm get us out there. Tell more people about our story. Make sure you like and comment, and share with a friend. And we will see you guys on the next episode. God bless you.
Bye.